My last video about Parallax versus BlurXTerminator is actually just 2 days old, but it got a lot of comments and questions. And some were really good challenges. People asked, fair enough, did you test that properly? What about this setting? What about this? And sometimes ad hoc, I just tried something out and answered in the comments, but then I thought, let's do that properly. And let's answer all these questions and these ideas in one video so that we all are on the same level again. Hey, this is Into Space. I'm Sascha from Switzerland. So grüezi miteinander and thanks for watching my channel. Hey, this is Sascha from the future. At this second, while I was actually editing the video, a new version of Parallax was pushed out. And everything you will see now is still absolutely valid. But this new version just brings a few surprises, very positive surprises, and I will add that at the very end of the video. So stay put, watch it, and then also see the most recent news. So just as a reminder, the pictures we will be using, they're all linear. They have all gone through gradient removal, and they have all gone through SPCC. Nothing else. We use the same pictures again as in my last video, but I removed the most terrible one because we established, yes, both solutions can make very elongated stars round, so we do not have to talk about that anymore. And by the way, just before we start, if you did not buy Parallax yet, and after this video you make the decision that this is for you, then please remember that you can have a 5% discount if you use the code ViewIntoSpace. So there's actually 8 topics that were addressed multiple times on YouTube, on Facebook, and these we want to look at. The first one is, you had one on 70 and one on 80%. What if both solutions are on 100% nonstellar sharpening? Is Parallax still better? So let's try that out. So for this experiment, I took the elephant trunk nebula. Here we have a BlurXTerminator with 100% nonstellar sharpening, and here we have Parallax. And for me, actually, it shows here already in the overall picture massively how it changes. But let's actually zoom in. Okay, it's the same area as we used last video, the elephant trunk, here with BlurXTerminator, here with Parallax. BlurXTerminator, Parallax. And I think it's quite a massive difference. There's obviously always this claim, wouldn't it be possible afterwards with another sharpening tool or so to reach the same limits? I think that's very individual, and that's even hard to test, you know. Because then you could go, but what if you do that then on the other tool again, and so on. And there's also a question, is this not already over sharpened? Do you really want to go that far? So these are all questions you have to answer yourself. But in principle, if both are on 100%, then Parallax delivers way more detail. That's what I can tell you based on this test. If that is actually what you want, if that looks nice, these are all other questions. Next question was, does StarXTerminator work well with Parallax? And the logical question would be, does it work better or worse than if we use BlurXTerminator? And let's see. Again, the same picture as before. Here with Parallax, and then StarXTerminator here. BlurXTerminator and then StarXTerminator. And I don't see any difference at all. Obviously, there's the difference again. Parallax looks way cooler from a structure point of view. And just to drive that home, let's zoom in here a little bit and look at that here, first with BlurXTerminator and then with Parallax. I hope you see that, but it's like day and night. It's really wow. Look at this area here, how it changes from kind of still blurry to very well defined lines and nebulosities. Really cool. So the next question was, how do stars look if we compare correct only on BlurXTerminator with only correct aberration on Parallax? Is there a difference? Because we know now how differently stars are treated, but if we just do correct only. And I used for this experiment both Galaxy, and it doesn't make any sense here to look at it on that level, so I will zoom right away in. And so if you do not see any difference when I toggle, then it's because there is no difference. They're really 100% identical, which from my point of view, how it's defined is also how it should be. So the difference only comes when we start to sharpen, to reduce the stars in size, to very different approaches. But if we only correct them to make them round, then they still look 100% the same. Now the next thing is something I promised you in the last video, and which I was also very much interested, because what SyQon told me always is wait until Parallax is out and you will see how amazing it is in combination with Prism. And from that point of view, looking at the denoising and the deconvolution tools in combination, so BXT with NXT and Prism with Parallax. That was something very interesting for me to do. So is there now even a bigger gap or not? And we do that with the Orion Nebula, because as we all know, Prism does not work right with galaxies. And that's also, by the way, just to address that, because people were like, oh, we don't trust Parallax because Prism invents stuff with galaxies. And that's a known bug, so SyQon is fully aware of that and they work on that. It's not so much that it really invents something, it's really it fails. It brings a very strange pattern over the whole sky when you use it with galaxies or with smaller objects. So Prism can at the moment only be used for nebulosity, and then it works nice. But now comes the big moment. So BXT and NXT. And it's actually this sequence, because Ross clearly says, first you have to do the deconvolution, then you do the noise extraction, BXT, NXT. And with the other pair, I did it the opposite around because that's what they say should be done. First use Prism, then use Parallax. Are you ready? Here we go. And the difference is massive. Let's zoom in. And I think here I really do not have to put labels below it what it is. It's so striking, the difference. Look especially here, all the structure that you can see now. Also here, how sharp it suddenly gets. And not in a bad way, actually. And a lot of times it's hinted here, but then it's just coming out so much nicer. So I really think, at least for Nebula, using this couple, Prism and Parallax, really pays off. It's not subtle anymore. It's a massive difference. Now the next question or comment was that actually this claim that stars get clipped with BlurXTerminator is false. And that is even specified in the documentation of Russ that this is not happening. And so let's take here a picture with BlurXTerminator. Let's zoom in and let's actually go to the stars. And we have here with 39, 39, 41. It's definitely not clipped. Here we are about at 16,000, 19,000. So it's definitely not clipped. Let's take here a big one. 50, 51, 60,000. So here we're getting close, but there is also the easy way to look at it and simply switch off the lights here, the stretch, and you can see that only very few stars are actually popping up. These would be the ones who potentially could be clipped. So from that point of view, I have to clearly state that this claim that BlurXTerminator clips the stars is, to say it nicely, exaggerated or a little bit marketing from SyQon. But I see to a certain part the argument for the other type of stars, but this is just a question of personal taste, and I probably would rather frame it like that. It's two different ways how to depict deconvoluted stars. Some will like this better, some will like the other better, and I think it's not so much of saying what is now scientifically correct. Also, somebody made the argument and said, people from NASA said, as soon as you start messing around with a picture, it's for them, for their purposes, for scientific purposes, it's actually already not relevant anymore. And from that point of view, probably how 100% scientifically accurate the picture of the stars have to be now is anyway questionable how important that is. So I think let's put this whole scientific part overboard at the end. For me, at least, it's a question, what is more aesthetic? And as I already mentioned in my last video, for me, these BXT stars are more aesthetic. That's what I would like to have in my pick. But what we just saw before with Orion, from a nebulosity point of view, I absolutely love this tool. So, best of two worlds. Then there was a question about speed, and that's really something that I wanted to tell you in the last video and really forgot. My apologies. Because it's like all these SyQon tools, they're way slower than the exterminators. And also in this case, it's quite substantial. BXT, I had 16 seconds, and for the same picture with Parallax, I had 54 seconds. So that's more than 3 times slower. I don't think that's the end, because it's still, a minute is not that long, but yes, they need more time than the exterminators. Then there was the question how to install it. It seems that it's not so well explained. So when you buy it, you get a CLI directory which you have to download and put somewhere on your computer. You unzip it. Then here in pixinsight, as always, you go to updates, manage repositories, and here you add actually this link. And I put it in the description below again. That's simply the repository link. Then you have to search for updates, install it, restart pixinsight as with any other script. And then there's just this extra step that you then here have to click on the wrench, and you look for the directory where you put this CLI file and you select it. And once you have actually added here, it will stick here. So you do not have to do that every time. So and that is how you install it. And then the last thing, just to mention that again, all deconvolution tools, be it BXT or be it Parallax, should be done in linear stage, because it actually enhances details which are almost not visible. And when you're already stretched, this will be kind of gone. So then it's actually just sharpening, which you're practically doing. So always do that in linear stage. The right sequence is always first SPCC. If you use also Prism, first use Prism, then use Parallax. If you're using Parallax and NoiseXTerminator, I would first use Parallax and then use NoiseXTerminator, just from the kind of the logic that Ross gave. Okay, here again, me from the future, and as I promised, now the new addition to Parallax. And what actually happens, we see that when we open the script, what you see here, star reduction, this was going to, I think, 6, and it's now going to 10. And you shouldn't go to 10, it does some very odd stuff there, but we will just see what happens when you go to a 7. And sharpen the same thing. You can now sharpen not to 100, but to 200. Again, way too strong, but I will show it to you with 120, which I did now. So in principle, the theme, this whole thing became a lot more amp. So here we have the original picture. And so let's compare it now with Parallax, original and new. And look especially at the stars, how they now get smaller. And let's compare now directly Parallax with BlurXTerminator in a zoomed in. We're especially looking here at the stars. And we see on one side that BlurXTerminator still is stronger, but that we could go stronger now with Parallax. We see especially that the halos are remaining, but still it's not this extremely soft behavior anymore as before. It's much closer, and from that point also much nicer. So they did a good job and listened to our comments and changed the behavior when it comes to the star sharpening or reduction, however you want to call it. And the other thing I just wanted to show you here, BlurXTerminator, here Parallax, that it's now even possible to sharpen way more, bring out the structures more. This is now with 120%. You could even go further, but it gets ridiculous at one point. But so also here you have now all the option to sharpen as much as you want practically. So you need to download for that the new CLI, which you find on the SyQon website, and also the new script just by doing an update here in pixinsight, and then you can enjoy this even much more capable version. So that's round 2 about this tool. I hope I could answer a lot of your questions. There's more clarity. And so thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for all your comments and questions that you put below the last video and which enabled us to do this one. It's a very good discussion. It's a very good way together to figure out with such new tools where the limits are and where the capabilities are and so on. See you next time and clear skies.